Hello, good day and welcome. I'm Timotab and today I'm going to solve Take the Low Road by Chile. If you would like to try solving this puzzle for yourself, it'll be the first link in the description. And let's have a look at the rules. Normal Sudoku rules apply. We are going to place the digits 1 to 9 in every row, every column, and every 3 by 3 box. Some cells contain arrows. A digit in a cell with an arrow must be larger than all other digits in the grid in cells along the direction of the arrow. So, if this digit, say, were a 7, then because this digit sees that along that line, this would have to be at least an 8. Okay, I am going to restart the puzzle to reset the timer, and let's begin. Okay, so at first blush, that's going to be a challenge because I can have repeat digits along here. Even though it sees a lot of digits, a lot of them can repeat. Okay, this digit has to be at least a 5 because it sees 4 digits in its row. So that's at least 5. This digit sees that digit. So that's at least 6. And this arrow sees that digit. So that's at least 7. And this one sees that one. So that's at least 8. But because that has to be higher than that, that can't be a 9. This is like a weird thermometer that's got bits all over the place. All right, that is a maximum of 8. So this is a maximum of 7. That's a maximum of 7, so that's a maximum of 6. This digit, this arrow, sees that. Oh, it sees that one. So this has to be higher than that. So that has to be 9. That now has to be 8, 7, 6, and 5. That's really nice. So if that is a 5, this is 1, 2, 3, and 4. That must now be a 6 with a 7, 8, 9 there, and that is not 9. This digit sees that, so it must be higher than a 7, but can't be a 9. That's an 8. This must now be lower than 8, so that's a 7. Giving 8, 9 pair. That is a 1, 2 pair at minimum. So that's not a 1 or a 2. But now that's a maximum of 4, so they're from 1, 2, and 3. Okay. This sees 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cells, so that is at least a 6. But it can't be a 6 or a 7, so that's an 8 or a 9. This sees at least a 1, 2 pair with a 1 there, so it's at least a 3, but it can't be 5, 6, 7, or 8. So that's 3, 4, or 9. Except it can't be a 9 because that 7 sees it. There we go. So that has to be lower than a 7 because of that. Can't actually be a 6. So it's 2, 3, 4, or 5. Making this 1, 2, 3, or 4. Okay. This 8 makes that 9 and that 8. 9 is in one of those three, but if that's a 9, what's that? And yeah, that arrow is looking here, so that's not a 9 either, that's the 9. Okay, if this is 3 or 4, this is either 1, 2 or 1, 3, so there is a 1 in there. That means the minimum this can be is 2, 4. Which makes that a minimum of 5. And a maximum of 5 because this 6 sees it. So that is indeed a 5. That's got to be from 2, 3, and 4. That gives me a 2, 3, 4 triple. Sorry, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 quad. All right. All right. Let's see what else we can do. Okay. That can't be a 9 because it's got a 6 looking at it. That can't be a 9 because it's got something looking at it, so that's a 9. That makes that an 8. So those aren't 8s, so one of those two is an 8. All right. That is at least a 3, because I get a 1, 2 there and a 1 there. So that's 3, 4, or 5. And that's from 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 by the row. And this then, we've got a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 quad, a quint in the box. This is 6, 7, and 9. Are any of these digits being looked at? Don't think so. Okay, yes, that digit is being looked at by that one. So that's not a 9. But because that's a 6 or a 7, this must be a 7, 8, or 9. But it can't be an 8 or a 9. By the column, that is a 7. That's a 6. That's not a 6, that's a 7, 9 pair. Okay. All looking good so far. This digit. See 7, 8, and 9, so that's a maximum of 6. Making that a maximum of 7, but that's E 7, 8, or 9. So this is a maximum of 6. So that's now a maximum of 5. So it's 2, 3, 4, or 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. Okay. Right. These 3 digits are a maximum of 3 because of this arrow. Right. No, there's not a definite one there. This is not a sum. It's a maximum. That could be 2, 3, with that being a 4. But, right, because that's not 1, there could be a 1 in these. Okay, that was some faulty logic that I've managed to correct. But, because this is a maximum of 4, so there is a definite 4 in one of these two. Okay. Okay, there's an 8 in this column, but that can't be an 8. So one of those two is an 8. That can't be an 8 because of this 8. Okay. These max out at 4 because of this 3, 4, 5. One. Okay. That gives me a 1, 2, 3, 4 quad in the column. That makes that 5. That makes that 3 or 4. So these can't be 4 any longer. Okay, one of those is a 3. So that can't be a 3. That 3, 4 pair removes 3 and 4 from there, and 3 and 4 from there. That 5 makes that 2. That a 1. That's not a 1, and that's not a 2. This is 3, 4, 5. That means that that is a 1, 2 pair, and that makes me a 3, 4 there. That's now a 1, 2 pair. That is a 1, 2, 3, 4 quad, making this 6, can't be 7, 8, or 9. Those are not 5s. That's a 5. It's the only place left in the box. Hmm. So it's not 1, 2, 3, 4 by the box. It's not 5, 6, or 8. So that's a 7 or 9. These are from 6, 7, 8, and 9. But that one's not a 9. That one's not an 8. That is 6, 7, 8, or 9, I think. Okay, that's being looked at by that cell. So that's not a 9. But that's at least a 6, so that's not a 6. So one of those two is a 6, so that's not. Okay. Where to look next? Okay, I don't think that can be a 3. Right. If that's a 3, then that's a 4 by Sudoku, and that's a 4 by arrow. So that's not a 3. That's a 1, 2. That gives me 1, 2 in the column. So that's now 3 or 4. That gives me a 3, 4 pair in the column. Okay. So that sees 1, 2, 3. It could be 4 or 6. In fact, those two see 1, 2, 3, 5, 7, 8, and 9. So that is a 4, 6 pair. That makes that a 3, which makes that a 4. That makes that 3. So now those can't be 3s. That has to be a 3. That has to be a 1 or a 2 by the column. Nice. That 3 makes that a 4, as does that one, in fact. That being a 7 means that that can't be a 7. That's a 6. So that's not a 6. It gives me a 7, 8, 9 triple. Let's remove the corner marks. That 4 means that that is not a 4. There we go. And that is all right. That 6 means that that is not a 6. That maxing out at 4 means that that maxes out at 3. That gives me a 1, 2, 3 triple in the row, and one of those is the 1. So that's the 2. That's a 1. That's a 2. That gives me a 1, 3 in the row, making that a 2. That does not affect that. Okay. I like this puzzle a lot. It's got some interesting things to think about. Okay. By the column, that can't be 1, 2, 3, 5, or 7. It can't be 4 or 6, so that's an 8 or a 9. So that's 4, 6, 8, or 9 to complete the column. That's not an 8. That's not a 4 or a 9. That's not a 6. Have I got anything looking at these? Don't think so. So that can't be 8 or 9. So in this box, we've got 1, 2, 3, so 4, 7, 8, 9 is what we've got left. No, not 4, 5, 7, 8, 9. But that can't be 8 or 9 because of this arrow. So that's a 5 or a 7. Hmm. Okay, that's 1, 3, 7, 9. And 4. Okay, that wasn't as helpful as I thought. That's not a 3. That's not a 9 because it's being looked at by an arrow. Okay. That 9 automatically meets its criteria. Well, as long as nothing... Okay. So that can't be a 9. But I don't think there's anything trying to make it a 9. Okay. Ah. That can't be a 9. I feel like there's one last significant deduction to make, and all of a sudden everything will clear up. But I'm just not seeing it. Okay, if that were an 8, that would be 7, that would be 9, that would be 7. If that were an 8, then that would not be an 8, that would be the 8. So it would be a maximum of 6, which is eminently doable. Okay, where does 1 go in this row? That's what I needed to see, and that's the only place for it. 2 and a 1. That gives me a 2 there, a 1 there, a 2 there. That's I need a 1 in the top row, which has to go there. That 2 removes a 2 from there. I get a 1-3 pair in the column. So that's a 2. Is that all of my 1s? 1, 2, I've got, okay, that's not a 1. And one of those two is a 1. 2 in this row is here by Sudoku. So that's now at least a 3, which makes this at least a 4. So that's 4, 5, 6, or 8. And so this is 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All my 2s are in. Okay. 4s. What about 4s? Okay, got a 5 in one of those two. Oh, that's what I want. All right, if that's a 7, then that isn't. 7, 9, 8, 7, 9. Okay, if that's 7, that's 8, that's 9. If that's 9, it gives me a 7, 8 pair. If that's 9, then that's 7. No, not saying that. Okay, that's a maximum of 7 because of that, but not 7, so that's a maximum of 6. 8's in one of those two. 1 is in one of those two. If I can stop that being an 8, that would be interesting. Hmm. Hmm, 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 hmm. Uh, so if that were an 8, that could not be an 8. So if that were 9, that would be 7, that would be 9, that would be 7, that would be 8. Be 6. Nope, not quite getting that yet. Okay, well that's a 3 by Sudoku, because I've got a 1-3 pair here. So that's 6, 7, or 8, but it's not an 8. So that's a 6 or a 6 or 7 to complete the row. Okay, 7 in this box is in one of those two cells. So that's not a 7, but that doesn't put any further restriction on there. Hmm. No, that's not. What am I missing? Okay, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Not very helpful. Is there any arrow that I have missed? Okay, let's look at the arrows. This arrow is looking at all of these cells. So none of those can be a 9. Okay, this arrow is looking at those 3. That seems to be good. This is looking at all of these. So if that's a 9, that can be an 8. And if that's an 8, that will be a 9. But as that stands, that seems reasonable. Right, this 3, 4 is looking at that. That seems to be good. This 5 is looking at those 2. That's good. This 5 is looking at those 4. That's good. This 4 is good. This is looking down there. That's not going to be an 8. But that's the only restriction. That 7 or 9 is going to have a potential effect on here. If that's 7, then that means that one of those 2 is 7. Doesn't it? No. If that's 7, okay. If that's 7, then that's 8, that's 9, that's 7. If that's 7, that means one of those 3 is 7, so none of those are 7. But if that's 9, then that's 7. That becomes a 7, 8 pair. that's still open for consideration. That 2 is looking at 1. That 6 is not breaking anything. That 4 is not breaking anything. That 7 is not breaking anything. That 3 is not breaking anything. That 8 is stopping that from being a 9. There we go. That was the key. So that's 7. That's 9. Or at least one of the keys. So none of those is 7. So that's 7. That gives me a 1, 3, 4 triple in the box, making that 9. And these must be 5, 6, and 8. Yep. Nice. Okay. Where does that leave us? So that is not a 7, and that is. That's a 6. That's not 6. Okay, that can't be a 4, because if that's a 4, then that's a 3, and that breaks that cell. Okay. Okay, that is, by Sudoku, 4 or 8. That means that one of those two is 9, and that's an 8. That moves 8 from there. In fact, that 4 makes that 8. So that's 9. That's 4. That's a 3, 4 pair. That's a 5, 6 pair, which I can place. That's no longer a 5. Okay, that is not an 8. So that's the 8. That's the 1. That 5, 6 means that that is not a 6. I only got one place for 9 in the row now. That's there. Those aren't 8s, and that is. Okay, nearly done, surely. 3, 4, 5 triple in the column, meaning that that last digit is 6. That's now a 5, so that can't be a 5. So that's where the 5 goes. It gives a 3, 4, 3, 4 pair. All right, this is 3, 4, and 7. So that's 4 or 7. That's 3, 4, or 7. That's a 3 because of the one in the row. That gives me a 4, 7 pair. That makes that 3. That's going to disambiguate my 3s and 4s. 4 there, 3 there. 3 in this column makes that 1 and that 3. The 1 in the row, in fact, the 3 in the row makes that a 4. That's a 1. 5 in the row makes that 6. That's 5. That gives me a 7 and a 5 and a 7 and a 4 and a 6 and a 4. That was a really fun puzzle. I enjoyed that. Lots of interactions. Took me a while to see that this 8 was stopping that from being a 9. But other than that, I don't think there was anything particularly hard. It was just finding the right thing. Yeah, no, I really enjoyed that. Thank you very much, Chili, for creating it. Yeah, I did enjoy that. So if you enjoyed this solve, then please hit the like button. You can subscribe to see some more, and I would love to hear your comments. I'm looking forward to next time. Be seeing you.